morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a little bit of a look at what is the best we've got for now in terms of a world champion. You see, this past weekend, we had the Atlas Collectibles POG 2020 Championship, the Pokemon Online Global Championships, and there is no World Championships this year. So you know what? This is pretty much the best we've got. Now, we do have the Players' Cup, but the Players' Cup, a lot of people don't want to count that as a World Championships. We've essentially got two options. One of them has happened, and the winner was Isaiah Bradner playing Pikachu and Zekrom. Pikachu and Zekrom is a deck where every single set that comes out, there are a huge group of people going, here's why it won't be good now. Even as I speak, there's a whole bunch of people going, well, you know, when the rotation hits, it's losing a couple of tricks, it won't be as good. My theory on Pikachu and Zekrom at this stage is, you know what? It's good until it's proven to not be good any longer. Now, the deck was a Pikachu and Zekrom deck, but it wasn't a Pikachu and Zekrom deck like it would have been pre-Darkness Ablaze. Now, don't get me wrong. We've still got Pikachu and Zekrom. We've still got that free energy attack that does 150 damage and attaches free lightning energy from your deck to one of your Pokemon. And it still, for free energy, does 200, but if you got 6 energy on there, does 200 to the active and 170 to the bench. And we're still trying to hit Dedenne for 2 prizes on the bench. I know Crobat is an option now, and Crobat will actually survive a hit from this, but again, this still went and won, and Crobat replacing Dedenne was one of the many reasons this was supposed to be a deck that was going to be waning. But it wasn't just a Pikachu and Zekrom deck. You see, there were 2 copies of that, and there were also 2 copies of Vikavolt. Now, Vikavolt was the big new addition to this card with Darkness Ablaze. This is the thing that really changed it up. You see, what Vikavolt does for 2 energy is 50 damage, but it stops your opponent playing any item cards from their hand next turn. And between Thunder Mountain and Tapu Koko Prism Star, as well as Turbo Patch, which admittedly this list didn't play, but some of the others did, it really is not difficult to get a turn 1 Vikavolt going second. If you go second, your opponent has 1 turn where they're not allowed to play supporters, and then essentially you can item lock them for the entire game. Over the course of the weekend, we saw how this could be so bad. I mean, one of the decks that was really good for a long time was Blacephalon. And Blacephalon had a decent showing this weekend. We saw a bunch doing well in day 2. And Blacephalon, free energy, 50 damage, discard as many energy from your hand as you like. Deal 50 damage for each energy discarded in this way. So free energy on Blacephalon, 5 discarded from your hand, boom, 1-hit KO on Vikavolt. Except Blacephalon decks really rely on using things like Fiery Flint and Fire Crystal to actually get that energy, and especially once it's discarded, using stuff like Fire Crystal and Energy Retrieval to just get them back. But you can't if you're item locked. Plus, you just don't set up. Eternatus, in theory, is a deck that would have a really good Vikavolt matchup, because you can have 8 bench Pokemon, and as long as you got 6 bench Pokemon, for 2 energy, you're getting a 1-hit KO. But you've got to get the 2 energy in the Eternatus VMAX on the bench, and that's not always easy to do. And essentially, this deck is a Pikachu and Zekrom deck, and it is a Vikavolt deck. It is essentially whatever you want it to be. You can go item lock, and sometimes an early item lock will literally just mean your opponent draws nothing and you win the game right now. Or at least in a couple of turns. Or it can be that same Pikachu and Zekrom deck that's been dominating since Team Up dropped. It can be either. Now, in terms of other Pokemon, we do see a Raichu and a Alolan Raichu. This is largely played for the Paralysis attack. Free energy, 160 plus Paralysis if it became active this turn. You can do 250 and switch to the bench for 5 energy, but it's not the best GX attack in the deck. It's here because it gives you a really nice Paralysis attack. Very nice against decks like Obstagoon, for instance, that, I'll be honest with you, Obstagoon's kind of a pain for decks like this. We see a Zero or a GX, which can accelerate a bunch of energy with the GX attack, but is largely played for the ability that gives free retreat to any of your Pokemon with a lightning energy attached. We play 4 copies of Jirachi from Team Up, and stop me if you've heard this one before. Jirachi, when it's in the active, lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a trainer card, put it in your hand, goes to sleep, free retreat of a skateboard, rinse and repeat. It is just so good for consistency. It is a phenomenal card. We then see 1 copy of the Marshadow from Unbroken Bonds, which is there to discard stadiums. It has a decent attack that does 70 to an Ultra Beast, but largely it's there to discard a stadium. Especially good if your opponent's got a Chaotic Swell in play, because that will discard a stadium like Thunder Mountain if you play it, so you can discard it and then play your own Thunder Mountain, and you're good to go. 1 copy of Eldegoss V, which lets you get a supporter card back from your discard pile. 2 copies of Dedenne GX, lets you discard your hand, draw 6. Given that you're playing Electromagnetic Radar, and you can search it out with that, that's pretty nice. Awesome for consistency. And then 1 copy of Tapu Koko. We mentioned it briefly earlier. It lets you attach 2 lightning energy, 1 to each of 2 bench Pokemon from the discard pile. It's ridiculous for energy acceleration. Why would we not play it? In terms of energy, obviously we're going mostly lightning energy here, because that's what we're accelerating with Tapu Koko, that's what we're paying our attack cost with, etc. But we also see 3 copies of Speed Lightning Energy. That's a lightning energy, but when you attach it to a lightning Pokemon, you get to draw 2 cards. There are a bunch of cards out there that hate on special energy, and I'm assuming that's the reason why we ended up with 3 here. Fact of the matter is, Isaiah made the deck, so if he's telling you that he only needs 3 here, probably only needs 3. Energy a lot of the time comes down to testing and a little bit playstyle as well. Now, in terms of trainer cards here, you've got the usual tricks that we'd see in lightning decks. I've already mentioned Thunder Mountain to reduce your attack cost by 1 lightning energy. I've already mentioned Electromagnetic Radar to search out your GXs. The other one we see here is Electro Power. It is an item card that lets you do an extra 30 damage on all of your attacks. And this has been a staple in every lightning deck pretty much since it came out. But the real big thing we saw this weekend was seeing Vikavolt do 50 damage plus item lock, using Electro Power to go up to 80, and KOing stuff like evolving Pokemon, Jirachi, etc. There were lots of little KOs. Galarian Zigzagoon would be another good example that we saw on stream this weekend, where Vikavolt was pinging away these little Pokemon, so taking prizes while item locking. We also see a little bit of Energy Switch here, trying to make sure that we got the right Pokemon for the right time. Energy Switch lets you transition between Pikachu and Zekrom and Vikavolt really gosh darn nicely. And we do see a couple copies of Tag Call here, because we are relying on Tag Team Pokemon. We do play a couple. In terms of Tag Team supporters, which can also be searched out with Tag Call, lets you grab 2 in any combination of Tag Team Pokemon and supporter cards, we play Guzma and Hala. And Guzma and Hala is nuts in a deck like this, because it lets you get a Pokemon tool, a stadium, and a special energy. So that's Speed Lightning Energy and Thunder Mountain, and the tool we tend to play here is a couple copies of Big Charm. Gives you extra HP. It's very nice. The thing is, you got big Pokemon, this makes them bigger, it's easily searched out with Guzma and Hala. Why would you not, ladies and gentlemen? Why would you not? Cannot use that new Cape of Toughness card, unfortunately, because that doesn't work on GX Pokemon, and you are kind of relying on GX Pokemon, so sorry about that. A skateboard, of course, being the other tool that you might want to search out for your Jirachi. In terms of supporter cards, you got free Professor's Research Magnolia. That's the one that lets you discard your hand and draw 7. Fastest, most aggressive draw card in the game. Couple copies of Marnie. Both players shuffle the hand, put them on the bottom of the deck. You get 5 cards, your opponent gets 4. Nice shuffle draw with a bit of disruption. 3 copies of Boss's Orders. Drags a Pokemon from your opponent's bench into the active. And we did see a slight increase in Boss's Orders this weekend. Lot of decks going from 2 to 3, which was kind of interesting. We do play 4 quick pull, 4 Pokemon search, because your entire deck is basic, and that searches out basics, which is kind of important. We got 4 copies of Switch, lets you flick between Pikachu and Zekrom and Vikavolt quite easily, but it also is really good for Jirachi and reusing that ability. And then a couple copies of Reset Stamp, which is pretty standard in every deck. Although 2 is, you don't always see 2, but you get it in basically every deck. Makes your opponent shuffle a hand into their deck and draw a number of cards equal to their remaining prizes. Very important in the late game when your opponent's close to winning. This is a good deck. It's a very nice list. And Pikachu and Zekrom just doesn't seem to be going away. And I know that a lot of people are saying, well, come rotation, it's going to lose Thunder Mountain, it's going to lose Electro Power. Well, you haven't seen the deck go away yet, so I'm holding off on proclamations like that for the time being. What I do know is that Vikavolt as an option has made Pikachu and Zekrom so much better, because it really does allow you to play the deck in 2 different ways, and that lets you cover more matchups. It's fun. And one more congratulations to Isaiah Bradner for taking home the title, and thank you to Atlas Collectibles for running this tournament, and just, the Pog tournament was awesome. I hope it's a regular thing. It's not going to replace Worlds every year, because hopefully we'll have Worlds every other year. But how cool would it be if 1 or 2 weeks before Worlds, there was this every year? I'd be into it, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be into it. But for now, I want to know what you think about this deck and about the tournament, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.